Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Hannibal reaction video, at last. Today I'm going to be watching, reviewing, and reacting to Season 2, Episode 12 of Hannibal. So, we are very close to the end of this insane second season. A lot of people have been telling me and had been telling me since I started the show that the second season of Hannibal was one of their favorite TV seasons of all time, and I'll talk about this a lot more after I finish it, but I can say that it makes perfect sense to me why they would feel that way after the kind of intense ride that we've been on throughout the course of Season 2. There's been a lot of extreme ups and downs, things that I certainly did not anticipate happening at all. Rest in peace, my friend, Dr. Chilton. And everything from Will starting out being in custody and everyone assuming him to be a psychopathic serial killer himself, to him getting out largely due to Hannibal, who had put him there in the first place. And then this dance they played with each other back and forth with Jack in the background. Leading to a number of things, including grotesque body displays, the fake death of Freddie Lowndes, and many, many other things. So it's been pretty crazy, and we still have to get to the point where Jack and Hannibal have their big fight showdown that was previewed in the beginning of the season. So very excited to see how we get there in these last two episodes. And now, of course, we also have the Vergers on the stage, and Will has put quite the idea in Mason's head. I feel like there's a lot that has to happen in the last couple of episodes, and I'm really, really excited to see what they're going to do with it. So let's not waste any more time. Episode 12, almost the end of Season 2. Hannibal, here we go.
Why did you tell Mason Verger I want to kill him?
I was curious what would happen. It's true, isn't it?
The perfect thing that he could say to Hannibal, right?
You do want to kill him. Or you want me to kill him. Either way, you'd like him dead. I'm just...
Understandable.
giving you a little nudge.
Will...
Mason is discourteous. And discourtesy is unspeakably ugly to me.
Are you thinking about eating him?
Whenever feasible, one should always try to eat the root.
Free-range rude.
Oh my god. Has he not said enough?
Would you join me at the
point?
table?
Mason Verger is a pig. And he deserves to be somebody's
Just what
pig.
Hannibal wants to hear again.
Maybe you should kill Mason during your next session.
He may be intending to kill me during our next session.
Then you'll have to kill him first.
You might... Will, you might be pushing a little too much.
You said you were curious what would happen.
Here.
Carry it around with me to remind me of him.
Whose fat are you planning to measure today, Mason? Mine?
No fat on you. Take more than a flesh wound to make you squeal. What game of chicken are you and the sperm donor playing, Dr. Lecter? I mean, don't get me wrong. I play chicken with Margot all the time. I just don't tell her I'm playing. I'm good at chicken, Dr. Lecter.
Well, he's smart enough to realize
I never blink.
sort of what's happening.
Just send me the bill. I'm so sorry.
He'll send you...
What to do is catch him. He's given me nothing, Jack. Nothing actionable. He has confessed to nothing. He's acknowledged only vagaries.
I need more than
okay.
vagaries. You have killed someone, Will.
Who was trying to kill me.
I don't know if I can prove that. You mutilated the body.
I mean, that seems like it was part of
You made a public spectacle of Freddie Lounge's death. I'm out on a limb here, and the limb is going to break.
Supposed
I've only told the OIG what they need to know. Now, what haven't you told me?
endorsement of that, and like, I don't.
Hannibal's trying to manipulate me into murdering one of his patients. Mason Verger. But I can manipulate Hannibal into killing him instead.
What's Verger done?
Hannibal considers him rude. It's motive enough. It's as though committing murders has purged him of lesser rudeness.
We're talking about putting a man's life in danger.
Sometimes, Jack, a good plan is less about finding the best alternative than it is about finding
doesn't give a
one
shit
that
about
works.
Mason Verger's life.
Let empathy confuse what you want with what Lecter wants.
I told you, Jack. I'm a good fisherman.
Can be for the patient who believes them.
You were Dr. Lecter's psychiatrist. He wasn't yours.
I told myself that. That I was under Hannibal's influence. What he did to you made that abundantly clear.
You were attacked by a patient who was formerly under Dr. Lecter's care. That patient died during the attack. A report said he swallowed his tongue.
It wasn't attached at the time.
How exactly did your patient die?
I killed him. I believed it was self-defense. And to a point it was. But beyond that point, it was murder. Hannibal influenced me to murder my patient. Our patient.
You see that look in Will's eyes? See, he's thinking,
Coerced.
this the same
What
thing.
Hannibal does is not coercion. It is persuasion.
And that's what Jack is thinking too. Is it the same thing he did with Will? So was it totally
Has he
self-defense?
ever tried to persuade you to kill anybody? He will. And it will be somebody you love. And you will think it's the only choice you have.
Well, I don't know how I feel about that foreshadowing.
How would you catch him?
Hannibal can get lost in self-congratulation at his own exquisite taste and cunning. Whimsy. That will be how he will get caught.
You are an odd psychiatrist. We could have had some good, funny times together. It's a damn shame. I've muzzled the dog. Now it's time for you to put him down.
Mason, you really don't know what you're getting involved with here. You are an odd psychiatrist.
Don't bleed him out. Just a little nick. Just enough to give the pigs a taste.
Warm meal. I should have put you in a cage with Dr. Lecter. I'm curious what would have happened.
What are you feeding my dogs?
Just me.
Oh, they showed it. went there. Oh my
Shit,
god.
shit.
Oh my god. Is this enough yet, Will? Is this enough?
Perhaps mercy too, but murder you understand uncomfortably well.
I'm hungry.
Eat your nose in.
Eat mine. Eat mine now, or
Oh, I'm not gonna.
is it time to talk about what Margot wants?
What Margot
Perhaps.
wants is to take care of you, Mason. Dear. Just as you took care of me.
This isn't sustainable. We're going to get caught.
Jack already suspects you killed Freddie Lowndes.
If Jack told you he suspects me, that means he suspects you.
I know.
You should give him what he wants.
Give him the Chesapeake Ripper.
Allow him closure. Reveal yourself. You've taunted him for long enough. Let him see you with clear eyes.
Jack has become my friend.
Your version of friendship.
I suppose I owe him the truth.
Alright. Okay, well, that was episode 12, the penultimate episode of season 2, and as with this entire season, it was quite a ride with unexpected things. So you know, let's get the grisly stuff out of the way first before we get into the rest of it. The Mason Verger feeding his own face to the dogs and eating his own face under Hannibal's combination of drug administration and persuasion power. Well, that was quite gruesome. That was, I mean, I continue to be amazed that this show was on NBC, on just regular regular cable television, with the extent of how grisly that was. And you know, I'm impressed that they actually went there, to be honest. It was an interesting twist on the way that it's described in the book series, and then later kind of described in the adaptation that was put on film, with Mason, you know, being persuaded, talked into cutting off his own face and then feeding it to dogs. It was interesting that they twisted it to have it be Will's dogs and have Will also be present during these events, because that was not something that was the case in the original source material. Will wasn't involved with the whole Verger dynamic, so I already found it interesting how they'd incorporated him into it with the whole Margot and the pregnancy idea, which I think was surprising, but also a good way of kind of, you know, highlighting what they reminded us about in this episode. Will directly said it, which was how Hannibal keeps seemingly giving Will this idea of family, potential family fatherhood associations versus Abigail, and then this child with Margot. You know, he pushed him into both of these situations just to snatch them away. So I like how they've incorporated the Vergers into the Will Hannibal dynamic, as opposed to just having it be kind of like a separate offshoot of Hannibal's own, you know, grotesque gameplay with certain patients of his. So it was interesting. They had Will's dogs eating his face, and they certainly they went full on with the prosthetics and the way that looked. That was I was expecting it to be kept more in shadow than it eventually ended up being. So that was something. But Michael Pitt, this was a good choice for somebody to play this crazed character. And this episode, a lot of it really belonged to him and his kind of taking the center stage in his being a pawn in this game, which he knew that Hannibal and Will were playing with each other, but nonetheless he was under the impression that he could outsmart them in order to get what he wanted, and obviously that didn't come to pass. So now, though, Margot seems to have somewhat of what she wanted at last, having some control over Mason, since he is now, basically surviving only with the assistance of others. And I guess we're going to see continuing in the future, I'm assuming, a version of the storyline with them that we get in the books, if they continue into the next season anyway, which is, as we've seen here, Mason not being interested in the idea of Hannibal being imprisoned, but actually wanting to get his own kind of personal revenge. But I am also curious how that's going to apply to Will now, because, again, in the original material, Will was not part of this, so I'm wondering if he's also going to have Will as a potential target for the revenge that he wants to get. Yeah. So I liked how that was done. It was interesting, but like I said, very grisly. They're also continuing to show throughout the course of this episode the general theme that I keep touching back on, which is how much is Will actually, being kind of tempted into this lifestyle that Hannibal is offering of this kind of cooperating killers that he has as this dream, apparently. How much is he actually being tempted by it? How much is he doing his fishing as he claims he is, and how much of it is him, kind of walking that borderline between? And I think with the bringing back of Bedelia and having her give some more context into what happened to her and some more insight into the way that Hannibal plays these games, was again really intended to demonstrate to us that even Will himself, he's not fully aware of perhaps how much of this is his fishing expedition and how much of it is him falling under Hannibal's control. And you see him coming to that realization himself in that conversation with Bedelia, where she's saying, I told myself it was self-defense, and it kind of was, but only up to a certain point. And then once we got past that point, it was also murder, because, Hannibal had persuaded me that maybe this was the right thing to do, and maybe I took a little bit too much satisfaction in it. And you could see Will's expression as he's kind of coming to terms with the idea that, maybe that's me also. Maybe in some ways Hannibal was right about me, that I do have this capacity, this desire, this drive, and it's not just that I've been manipulated or coerced into it. It's that he maybe sees this in me, and that's one of the reasons that he has chosen me to do this with, and he's just persuading me to do what maybe I want to do anyway. And you can see also Jack's concern building about that idea. And this kind of gets back to something else I was thinking about, and I started trying to talk about during the episode, but I stopped myself because I wanted to pay attention. But when Jack and Will are having their kind of all-out conversation, and Jack is saying, it's going too far, the whole thing with Freddie Lowndes, and you mutilating a body of a man you killed, what do we have here? And Will keeps saying, well, I don't have anything concrete. Hannibal just talks in vagaries. He hasn't really given me anything yet. And I'm not sure how believable that is to me. I mean, if you look at everything that has actually gone down and happened, Will brought that body to Hannibal's house. presumably Hannibal was somewhat involved in at least a discussion of what to do with his body, and he certainly talked to him in the aftermath of it. So at the very least, he's been a part of that. And then, of course, everything that was involved with Freddie Lowndes. You know, Hannibal has explicitly said things here about eating people in relation to Will, and then, of course, now everything that has happened with Mason. So that, again, just leaves me wondering, you know, is Will just kind of saying he hasn't done anything concrete enough because Will's not ready to give up the game? Is it like he's sort of, like he kind of wants to go further with it? Or is it just that Will knows how intelligent Hannibal is and who Hannibal is? Oh, excuse me, my voice. So he's kind of concerned that if he doesn't catch him red-handed, like in the act of literally trying to kill someone or cutting up a body or something, that Hannibal will talk his way out of it, get out of it. So, like, with what they have, he doesn't consider it to be enough. Is it perhaps that? Is it Will's telling himself that second thing? Partially because he subconsciously doesn't want it to end? Something in between? I don't know. But, yeah, so I'm very curious how this is all going to come to a head, though, because the other thing I wanted to really talk about with this episode that I feel like you saw was Will has been trying to be extremely cautious with Hannibal, not to alert Hannibal's suspicions, and he's gone to extremes to try to make Hannibal believe that he's, you know, truly a part of this, that he's actively killing people like Freddie Lowndes, that he's actively wanting to continue killing and working with Hannibal and doing these things going forward. But he was very kind of pushy in this episode with everything revolving around Mason in the beginning. You know, you can see in that early conversation, he's very much saying, oh, well, maybe you should kill him. Maybe you should kill him next time you have a session. You should kill him. Or maybe do you want to eat him? And it just, like, I was nervous during that scene because it seemed like, Will, you're seeming like so enthusiastic about it that it makes me worried that it's going to arouse Hannibal's suspicions, especially when Hannibal is already, you know, playing his own kind of game with Jack and kind of trying to interpret what Jack is doing and what Jack knows in this situation. And then at the end, too, you have Will coming back to this and saying to Hannibal, first saying that what we're doing is not sustainable, which Hannibal clearly doesn't want to hear, but surely knows. But then going on to say, well, you know, maybe you should just give Jack what he wants. Reveal yourself to be the Chesapeake Ripper. You know, admit it. Show yourself to him. And, you know, Will has gone through a lot of steps to get here, to try and convince Hannibal to build him up to this point where he hopefully, in Will's mind, believes that Will is fully on board with this. But I just don't know. I don't know if that, like, there was just a look on Hannibal's face to me when Will was saying that said that Hannibal is maybe getting more suspicious now. That, because Will, you do have to keep in mind, at least this is my concern, Hannibal does know you. He knows about your history and relationship with Jack. He has to be aware that Will would understand if Hannibal was going to show himself to Jack as the Chesapeake Ripper, that would have consequences, that Jack would potentially die in the aftermath of that. And even if Hannibal is convinced that Will has come around to this mindset, that he's willing to kill people that he doesn't like, people like Mason Verger, if he's willing to potentially want to kill him, or people like Freddie Lowndes, is he gonna believe that Will would be willing to kill Jack Crawford? I don't know about that. And so that just, it leaves me concerned that maybe Will pushed a little too far in this episode since he felt he was so close. And now maybe Hannibal's gonna be, you know, suspicious of this entire thing, or at least more suspicious than he was previously. I don't know, but I feel like we're in a pretty crazy place to go into the season finale. I'm very excited to see how this all wraps up. So, I've been thinking, and I think for next week's episode for the season finale, I'm going to do and offer a full-length reaction for the episode. And if there is sufficient interest in it going forward, I might do full-length reactions for Hannibal from now on as well. So offer the full-length and the shorter version, since I've only been doing the shorter version so far. But I know there's a lot of you that are really into this series. So if there's enough people that are interested, I may be doing that. But I think I'm definitely going to do it for next week for the season finale, and then maybe the premiere of season 3, and we'll see how it goes. But so just keep that in mind, and if it's something that you'd be interested in, feel free to let me know. But all right, I think I'll wrap it up here. Looking forward to the season finale, guys. So thank you so much for joining me today, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye.